Coach, it seems statues have become, like in the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years, they've become a big thing. And you've talked about Simone and the need for that, and perhaps Sylvia down the line. What does tomorrow mean in terms of what you're going to do?
I'd like for Bob and Simone and those to really talk about it. Yes, I came here for a lot of reasons, and winning basketball games is the main reason. But I just think God puts you places in your life at the right time, and it just hit me when I got here. What else does she have to do to get a statue? And I brought it up, and I think just bringing it up and letting people do their jobs, from committees to administration, those are the people that need to get the recognition for it. It's so deserving. I'm just a very small part of just mentioning it and making sure that it got done.
I know you've probably talked about this before, but if you would talk about you had to coach against her, just when you'd watch that film and see that mid-range jumper and the things she could do, just how much of a headache was that was that to prepare for?
Well, thank goodness I didn't have to coach against her much. I certainly recruited her when I was at Louisiana Tech, and we did play against her not just in that semifinal at the Final Four, but we actually played them that year, same year. She just had like Pistol Pete, the socks, right? Simone just had that lanky shoulder, long arms, and just could come up and just whew, shoot it right in your face. She just had that length about her, and she never ever got just overly excited. But I did watch some film of her when she got excited. I think they were playing Tennessee, and I just thought that might be as excited as I've ever seen Simone Augustus. Now, she would always smile and be pleasant, but she just did her job. And she did it just almost looked effortless. I kind of describe her being a 3/4 player in my eyes, but she was that tall player who could face you up like a Cheryl Miller. Back in my day, it was Cheryl Miller was the first like 6'2" non-post player. I never thought of Simone Augustus as a four player, but a lot of people did. She just could face you up and shoot that mid-range jumper. I don't remember much from her on the three ball, but she just was one of those. I'm sure Sue Gunter would say this, and Bob can say all these things. She's once in a lifetime kind of player that you get the luxury to coach, and boy, were y'all blessed to see one of the best this state has ever produced.
You've coached a lot of great talent. I read an article that you regretted not getting her to come play for you. How did you sleep at night knowing that you missed a generational talent like that?
Well, you know, it was home to her. Baton Rouge was her home. She made her mark at Capitol High School, and family was important. Where you saw Simone, you saw Kim, and you saw her dad, and you kind of do your background on recruits. And even though Ruston was North Louisiana, that's a good little trek. She could go home and eat home cooked food, and they could just casually show up at the game right before it starts. You knew what you were dealing with there. The good thing was she stayed home. She stayed in the state, and um, I knew it would be tough. Honestly, I never thought we were in it. I thought that she put some other teams in it, Tennessee and SEC schools, but in my heart of hearts, uh, I just couldn't see her ever not playing for LSU.
Kim, when you talk about setting an example, when you kind of loop
Simone into that? How much of a conduit is she of an example just for whether it's your young ladies or other young ladies to follow, and kind of how and just try to emulate her in the way she went about not only the on the court stuff but off the court as well?
I would have loved Simone Augustus when she retired to want to come coach here. But she's at that pro level, and that's a totally different deal than college. The thing that Simone does, and she's never changed from my perception of her from afar, she's quiet. She's not entitled. She's very unassuming but very competitive. When she speaks and has spoken to my team last year here at LSU, it was the same Simone. You know, just will tell her story in a very, not monotone, but just in a very casual manner. And that speaks volumes, because I tend to think our world wants to change us. I tend to think you can allow the world to try to change who you are. And Simone, from what I know of her, has never changed. I remember this boot is important to those of us who grow up here, guys. I don't know what it is, but it was important when she was at the Olympics. Not just one, not just two, but 3 Olympics, how she always talked about Baton Rouge. And that's from your heart. And I think young people need to see that and be who you are. Don't change because of society or because somebody wants you to be a certain way. Be who you are and the way you were raised.
Coach, what do you expect to see from Auburn?
Man-to-man, pressure defense. It's not going to be easy to make that first pass to get into your offense. A team that's very hungry for a win. A team that's had a couple of injuries to key players, and it's probably gotten them out of the flow and in sync. Bob Starkey obviously came from there, so he has a heart that understands those players and how hungry they will be. So when we present the scouting report, we don't look at records. We look at tendencies. We look at personnel, and we have to guard them. They're going to be a man-to-man. I would say very unlikely that you'll see much zone. Johnny Harris, their coach, comes from a background of Gary Blair, Vic Schaefer, and those are man-to-man coaches. So it's going to be another SEC, what they need and what we're trying to do. And then you've got the distraction, if it is a distraction. I don't know that it is, but you've got to be able to handle Parents' Night. All these kids, some of them haven't seen their parents in a while. It's Parents' Day, and then Simone's unveiling. Got a lot going on. Alumni, there are going to be a lot of former players here. And as I told them, I want you to enjoy it, but we got to focus on the task at hand.
Kim, the three-point shooting in the last game, I know it didn't surprise you. I know your team can do that, but how big was that, and how talk a little bit about how that came through for y'all when y'all really needed it.
Well, we don't win the game as convincingly as we did without perimeter shooters the other night. When you're feeling it, you're feeling it. Alexis Mars hadn't practiced in 2 days, and for her to go out there and do what she did offensively, maybe I need to give her some more time off. Flage and Jasmine, they're in the lineup. Flage's been hitting them. Jasmine, if you want to call it a slump, was down on herself a little bit because, she's such a good three-point shooter and she hit big threes. But Jasmine's all-around game the other night, taking you off the dribble, shooting jumpers, taking you in there and getting layups. That's a sign of growth. We were faced with something we had not been faced with. So I'm sitting there as a coach going, okay. I wouldn't like to face it in a game, but we did, and I thought we handled it beautifully. It's a mystery to me why we have so many turnovers that I would like to give credit to the defense, but some of them are just us just being loose with the ball. And you're still winning by 20 plus with that many turnovers. Now, that's not going to happen all the time. So if you don't fix it, it's going to come up to bite you. But I was obviously pleased because I saw what y'all saw. Okay, let's sit back and see how we handle this. We did prepare, I will tell you this, to go small if we didn't even get in foul trouble. I had already talked to Kateri. Why did we prepare for that? It's their style of play. We're going to go man to man, and sometimes if you go small, you switch easier. You can guard all positions. So we prepared that if our bigs were spread out and they didn't do good guarding out there, what if we went with Kateri and used the small lineup? So we had prepared for that because of defense, not because we thought they would get in foul trouble.
You've had some pretty good crowds so far, but this is kind of the time of year where it really starts to pick up on the weekends with these SEC games and everything. Are you looking?
Yeah, and y'all start showing up, right, Chessa? Yeah, I get it. Okay, I'm just calling y'all out because I've been missing y'all. No, you're where you're supposed to be, but go ahead, Jock.
And we saw that last year with the crowds you had. I would expect they would be even bigger this year. And then obviously you've been pushing for a sellout tomorrow.
Well, let's keep in mind we're still not in school. And boy, have our students shown up last year and during the playoffs. And, you know, we miss them. I miss my dream team students on the floor. I can't wait for them to get back in school. So we're not going to have that rowdy end like we normally do with students. But I expect it to be a very good crowd. Why wouldn't it be? You know, it's a Sunday afternoon, a lot of things happening. I haven't asked, you know, what season tickets sold look like. I just know that what else do you need? You have a team that's, what are we, 17-0, Seimone Augustus unveiling, family night, alumni night. I don't know what else we can put out there for the fans to, you know, want to see.
I assume you have someone, you got a pretty good sized staff here. I assume you have someone who monitors all the metrics, the NET and the rankings and the quad one wins and all that stuff.
Not really, not
No.
on my staff.
No?
Not on my staff.
Do you not
The-
care where you are with that?
You can't think about this, Scott.
Mhm.
You and I think, have had this conversation. Back in the day, when you did scheduling, you're worried about overscheduling and underscheduling based upon, God, my team's just not ready, or man, I got 5 starters back. That was simple, wasn't it? Well, why isn't it simple anymore? It's called the transfer portal. So today, if I start working on next year's non-conference schedule, I'm in my head thinking, ooh, I got Angel back. Ooh, I got this one back. Ooh, I got this one back. Hey, let's go get us 10 top-ranked teams. And then summer comes, and they're like, I'm bored in Baton Rouge. Let me go somewhere else. I want to challenge. That's what you're dealing with. And as you see, some of these teams overscheduled, not realizing they were going to have transfers. And they're losing, and everybody wants to say, well, why are you losing? What's the matter? Well, just say it. I lost kids I anticipated coming back. I scheduled based upon thinking I got 1 starter back. We don't have somebody that sits at a computer and goes, all right, we got to go play this team. Okay, now we got to win by 50 on, oh, we got to do. I'm not that smart. What I'm smart enough to know that solves it all, it's a 3-letter word, W-I-N, win. So if everybody wins, particularly in our conference, we all benefit. But scheduling and recruiting are the 2 hardest things to do in basketball at the collegiate level. And I don't want to know numbers. You do have coaches who sit and analyze and tell you got to play this, this, and this. That goes out the window with me. Just win. Whoever you're playing, beat them. Take care of business.
We got time for a couple more in-person questions.
Now, he might do it. I don't know what public, I don't know what, do we have an analytics department? If we do, they don't bother me. I never hear from them. But I never kept up with it when it was RPI. At the end of the day, this program, we are trying to rebuild it. We are trying to stay in the NCAA tournament. And at the end of the day, there's a committee of, is it 12, 16 people who make the decision on where you're seated. We're good with it. Just get us in the tournament
So-
if we're good enough.
You know your net is 3, though, don't you?
I was told a month ago our net was 2.
It was 2 for a long time.
Yeah.
It was 3, which is still
So
pretty-
that's
pretty good.
news. 3 is, that's good, isn't it?
That's
And I
excellent.
bet our non-conference strength of schedule is horrible. But our net is 3.
And that
I
was a
have
big-
messed up those guys that do analytics, haven't I? I have ruined their little perfect world.
Okay, real quick before he cuts me off, I got to ask you about releasing the eagle yesterday. Was that scary? Was that scary at all? What was that like?
Listen, they asked me to do that. I got to tell this quick story. So we get back at midnight, and I'd been asked a couple of days before would I do that, and I thought, yeah, that's cool because I've never been close to a bald eagle. Have any of you? I've seen them in pictures, and I've seen them in zoos maybe, but I was like, really? And so I said, yeah. So I get back, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to cancel it because I had some unexpected surgery on my eye. It's hell getting old, okay? So anyway, and I thought, how quickly can you do this laser surgery? I've got to go release this bald eagle at the vet school. So anyway, I do that. I get done by about 10:30. I've got to be over there at 11. So my eye's clearing up, and I can see. It was the neatest. It was just, I didn't have it on my bucket list, but God, it was almost like a bucket list moment. And they put that glove on me, and I opened that cage, and I didn't know what that eagle was going to, but I didn't know how big it was going to be. And then for just that split second, I got to, like, you could almost just feel like you were going to touch it. And it's just a beautiful, majestic bird, and it flew off, from where it was to trees in the levee. And y'all, it was cool. And I'm not a wildlife. I don't hunt. I don't do any of that. But that was almost like a bucket list moment for me.
Hey, we'll open it up for a couple questions on Zoom before we wrap this up.
Okay, MA, you're good if you want to unmute your line.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Coach, I just wanted to ask you, I talked to you a little bit the other night about the historical aspect of the statue, but from a college basketball standpoint, to have more of these across the country to really, and I know you're only in control of LSU, but how important do you think that is to have the history recognized like that for women's college basketball?
Vopal, you and I have been around this game a long time. I've never been a coach that believe you give statues or name courts after people because of longevity. I believe you do those things because of the level of success and excellence that those coaches and players have. So just to give them out is not what I'm about. It's the impact that person had on that institution for a long period of time, and also the excellence, the excellence. And it should be done more. I have said this many times. Each institution's criteria is different. And I just know that when I came to LSU, I remembered those Final Four runs and those great players, and I thought, I'm going to have to bring this up to people, and we're going to have to change some of this. But, people have to believe in that. People have to acknowledge that at the institutions. The administration has to say, that coach is worthy of a court being named after him, or that player's worthy of a statue. And as I said, sadly, there's probably some that have not been erected or done. But if I can help this last third of my coaching career do things like this, that's my purpose. And I'm excited for Simone Augustus.
Thank you.
You're welcome.